30 years of PlayStation, 24 of the PlayStation 2, and here in 2024, Sony have announced that that very console has once again taken the gaming crown. It's time to plug in those memory cards, everyone. Let's talk about the golden era of gaming. I'm Ash Dixon, and this is GINX News. It can get awfully exhausting these days talking about gaming, and Sony, as much as I love them, have contributed their fair share of head-scratching, eye-twitching, skin-crawling decisions in recent months. A super expensive PS5 Pro where some games currently look worse than on the old PS5, and don't get me started on Concord. But it's okay everyone, on December 3rd it will be PlayStation's 30th anniversary, giving us all an opportunity to look back and just reminisce on those glory days. To celebrate, Sony have updated their website with a rather gorgeous timeline taking us through all the key components and moments throughout their history. But with that also comes the impressive update that since 2000, the PS2 has now sold 160 million units worldwide, putting that little black box on the #1 spot as the best-selling console of all time. And sure, the Nintendo DS was great with its touchscreen portability and ability to let you draw inappropriate images for your friends on PictoChat while on the coach back from a school trip. But even as a Nintendo fanboy, for me, it makes total sense why the PlayStation 2 takes the top spot. But how did it all unfold? Let me take you back to the glorious year of 2000. Hybrid Theory had just come out, Fry had only been cryogenically frozen for a short while, and the world was yet to be shaken by one of the most tragic events of all of human history, the death of Harambe. And with a new millennia came a new console, the PS2. We had staggered launches back then, so it debuted in Japan on March 4th, hit US shores 7 months later on October 26th, before finally arriving in Europe on November 24th. And that sweet blue box was yours for just $299, which adjusted for inflation is around $500. To be fair, the games were a little bit more expensive. Back then, the big games would retail for $50, which is about $80 today. But what made the PS2 such a hell of a deal was not just those sweet 3D graphics and an excellent library of games, but this bad boy was a DVD player too. Now, you may not remember the prices of DVD players back then, but dedicated devices went anywhere from $300 to over $1,000. So the fact that you could watch DVDs and play Mr. Mosquito all for $299, well, that was a hell of a deal. Another aspect that contributed to its wild success was that it got out of the gates a full year before its competitors. Plus, unlike the Xbox, its controller wasn't designed for the hands of Hagrid, and its discs weren't tiny like the GameCube. What is this? A disc for ants? Plus, let's talk about the games, shall we? Because holy moly, unlike today where we're just hit with mass droughts of big releases, we were just bombarded with games back then. GTA San Andreas, Final Fantasy X, Tekken 5, Simpsons Hit and Run, Gran Turismo 3, Ace-Spec, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. In fact, I'd just like to shout out those last two for shaping my music taste into what it is today. Oh, the joy of speeding around a track to Just a Day, or ollieing over Ollie the Magic Bum, or headbanging to Guerrilla Radio. I think that was also the beauty of that era, because while there were an abundance of genuinely fantastic games, a lot of us were too young to really have reference to which ones those were. So I have memories just as fond completing Scooby-Doo, Night of 100 Frights. Shout out to the first game I ever completed. Honestly, I don't have time to go through all of those classic PS2 games, so I'm gonna throw it over to you guys. Let's make the comment section a nostalgia fest of our favorite games from back in the day. But it wasn't just the games. The PS2 era was revolutionary for how it introduced so many new ways to game. The iToy was literal magic to my dumb kid brain. SingStar and Buzz turned your living room into a party, all while thousands of us developed carpal tunnel way too young trying to master through the fire and flames. We also had the PS2 network adapter, changing gaming forever with the likes of Final Fantasy XI and Star Wars Battlefront. Plus, I grew up broke. The reason I even played half the games I did as a kid was the absolute gift of borrowing games from my friend Callum who lived across the road. Plus, you could rent games from Blockbuster or get great deals on pre-owned games. And if you were really struggling, well, you could just replay those demo discs again and again. Man, there's just so many things from that era I wish we could bring back. But do you know what I don't want to bring back? The weird frickin' adverts like Sony. What is this? Why is she Scottish?
It's called mental wealth.
I am so scared right now. And it's with this nightmare fuel that I will leave you. Make sure to subscribe as we make these gaming news videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we have even more content over on our Patreon, GINX Plus, which is free for just a few more days. I'm off now to go customize my car for 3 hours on Need for Speed Most Wanted.